Hey, welcome to this week's edition of the Big Venture Zone. This is the show that's geared to Gen Z entrepreneurs and founders. We're really here to support, share ideas, strategies, and provide a community for our younger generation to succeed in both business and life. Matter of fact, we have a LinkedIn group called the Big Venture Zone that you can join and talk to each other and network a little bit. And we have a great show this week. Our guests this week is Sonia Ray and Liam Kolbuc. They're both young entrepreneurs, and we're having a roundtable on lessons learned by starting a business. So let me introduce you to them. Liam Kolbuc is an 18-year-old management student at the University of Guelph and an owner-operator of North York Student Painters. This year, Liam scaled the business past $100,000 in revenue, which is, dude, in this time we're in, is amazing. So he did this while running recruiting, sales, client relations, and crew operations himself while managing a lawn care business on the side. It's like amazing. Liam credits his leaning on operations and on systems so that he can stay focused on the area of the business that he loves, and that's the business development side, sales, business growth, and he really enjoys those aspects of being an entrepreneur. So welcome, Liam. And Sonia Ray is an 18-year-old entrepreneur as well. And she's the founder of SR Digital Marketing Agency, which she launched through the City of Toronto's Summer Company program last year in 2025. And Sonia's got a passion for creativity and business. She helps local businesses grow their online presence through strategic digital marketing, branding, and content creation. She's really passionate too about leadership and public speaking, which is really cool. Sonia applied those strengths as the co-president of her high school business club. There's an entrepreneur business club that Sonia heads up at her high school. And she encouraged entrepreneurship, collaboration, student engagement. And this September, she's going to be pursuing undergrad studies in business while continuing to grow her agency. And Sonia is driven by ambition, much like Liam, and a desire to make a positive impact. Sonia hopes to create opportunities for entrepreneurs and support those who may not have access to the same resources that she had. She's really committed to helping businesses thrive while continuing to learn, lead, and inspire through her work. Welcome to you, Sonia. Welcome to both of you. And both of you were in the summer company last summer, the same program. And, I feel like that program is pivotal in your success. So they graduated from the summer company program in 2025. So for those listening, that program is a provincially funded learning program for students who want to launch a business. And it's done at these various small business enterprise centers throughout Ontario. Sonia and Liam were both summer company participants and grads in the City of Toronto's version of it. And so before we talk more about that, you two, I want to kind of get clear on your passion for entrepreneurship. So when did you know that entrepreneurship was a future you wanted for yourselves? So Sonia, I'm going to ask you that. When did the idea of being a business owner begin, and what happened at that time to put you on this course in your life of being an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. Once again, I just want to thank you for having me on. To answer that, honestly, I would say it started a little bit in school. I remember teachers would hand out assignment sheets or little projects, and you have to talk about what you want to be in the future. And I couldn't put a name to it, but I do remember always saying positive impact and leadership. And I remember being commented on for my qualities in leadership and my ability to carry a team. And that's when I felt that I kind of wanted to turn that into a career somehow. And that was my first look at entrepreneurship. And I honestly didn't see too many industries where you could lead yourself and also pursue other passions at the same time. Whereas entrepreneurship really is just a bubble of so many different things. And that's what interested me the most.
Uh, Great answer, and so true, because I've had the pleasure of speaking at that entrepreneur club and then being your mentor last summer in the summer company program. Liam, what about you? Why did working for someone else maybe not appeal to you so much? And this idea of growing a business and scaling, like, holy cow, like, when did it sort of dawn on you that I want to be an entrepreneur? I want to be in my own business. Like, what happened to you?
Yeah, it's more so just I can't stand working for someone else. I can't stand someone else telling me when to go have lunch, things like that. It's just not something for me. And to put it simply, it's kind of I have the mindset more so in terms of I'm not trying to build someone else's dream. I'm trying to build my own. And I feel like the best way to do that is actually into entrepreneurship because I think you're really building something for yourself and the skills you gain and all those values you gain from learning from that is awesome. And another thing is I feel like a lot of people are kind of scared to join entrepreneurship because if they fail, but the way I kind of think about it is if you do fail, your worst case scenario is like the average person's like real life. Like you're just gonna get another job like everyone else, right? So that's kind of the mindset I've been thinking and it's really worth it if you're gonna kind of put in the effort and that's something that I'm super passionate about.
Yeah, and you got to learn from the failure. And don't. It's not. It's hard to separate the personal side of it from the learning side of it, but you really do. You have to embrace the failure. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means the business didn't work as planned. And there's so many factors today that can lead to a business not succeeding. So you've got to, like you said, you kind of almost have to jump back on the horse or maybe get a job and put the entrepreneurship dream on hold and then come back at it later on. Do you feel like
Yeah.
that's true for you, Liam?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's more so just if you got a dream of like actually doing something for yourself like that, could be entrepreneurship, it could be anything, but like it is really worth it to go for it because I'd rather live with knowing that it just didn't work yet than like kind of regretting it later on, thinking what could have been.
Yeah, that and that's a lot of people have that regret, especially as they get older, and it's like, oh, why didn't I start this?
Yeah.
Who influenced you to consider being in business, Liam? Like, who were maybe early role models, and what was it that they said or did that made the light bulb click for you, like and go off? Like, who were early influencers?
Yeah, like I will say there isn't someone super specific on it. There's one of my teachers at high school, he was mentioning the like summer grant program and whatnot. And I thought, hey, like I'll try it, see what it's like and see if this is a right path for me. Yeah, and I did try and I kind of got hooked on it. I've also just always had a passion for business a little bit. I've loved like talking about it, those sorts of things too. And I think this program is like a great stepping stone for that and really got me engaged in entrepreneurship and really find out like once you do have success, it is a pretty fun game to play. So that's kind of where I got it from.
Yeah, and you direct that fun. Like it's all in your attitude. You can approach it as hard work or you can have fun with it. I think fun's a nice place to be. Sonia, what about you? Like, who inspired you to think about being a boss?
I think I can agree with Liam when I say that there is not like a specific person who initially got me into the idea of entrepreneurship, but I would say that seeing a lot of women of color who are able to take leadership roles in the workplaces. Networking with people recently and being able to see the difference that they're able to make has honestly inspired me further. But even in my family, a lot of people are involved in business, and I think seeing it from a young age made me want to chase it. So I believe it was more of a vision for me than other people being an influence.
Yeah, and I like that, your family influenced you, and I'm going to get to that a little bit more later. Sonia, you're also, as your bio said, you're involved in a business club or an entrepreneur club at your high school. How did that shape you? Like, how did doing those, special meetings and the groups, and you had a really good teacher that supported it. How did it, being involved in that shape you even more so to become, self-employed in your own, and own your own business?
Yeah, so joining high school, I it was definitely an out of area school. So I think I was a little intimidated by the sports teams. I mean, I was on a few, but going in, I found out about the business club, who was actually created by a few previous students of my same school. And I just attended as a general member, and then eventually I worked my way up from the VP to president. And I think just the idea of being able to inspire other kids in a very tech focused school was honestly my initial goal. I think I've always loved being able to lead other people and kind of give them the confidence to show up with their ideas and take risks. And so I wanted a platform to do that. And luckily, I had a great teacher to lead me. And so that's where the business club started.
Yeah, and you brought in guest speakers, and I'm sure their lessons and teaching helped you, get more serious about being a business owner as well. Yeah.
For sure. Initially, in the beginning of the year, I wanted to do something to really get in a lot of more people in the club, considering that we were quite small.
Hmm.
Um, and so I decided to hold a networking event at the school, which is where I decided to bring in a few guest speakers and also show the students who are all business enthusiasts what it's like to kind of talk about yourself very quickly, have an elevator pitch style conversation, and honestly, we had great feedback from it. And from there, I just knew that I also like event management and hosting things. And so a lot more passions were found through there. And then obviously connecting with the people I was bringing into the school was great. And not only myself, but I also saw a lot of other members feel inspired, go out and start their own clubs in the school. And so there's a lot of benefit from speaking to different people from different industries and bringing them into youth focused areas.
Yeah, you can all learn together for sure. Liam, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. And in terms of business owners that you follow, who are your go-to influencers and guides? Like who helped you?
Yeah. So there's a guy that his name's Jacob Graham. He runs a similar student-run painting business up in Barrie. This is, I think, his fourth year operating.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we've been in contact since like January. Really been like communicating, and I actually had to set up my business for success, all those sorts of things. So it's a cool mentor to have. And what's cool is I'm part of a student works management program. So
Right.
it's a similar program to the summer grant. It's more so just like a community network of other like entrepreneurs and things like that.
Okay.
And there's been a ton of influential people in there, and I've learned great things and had great conversations. Yeah, like I couldn't even name like 20 people to I could name more than 20 people that actually had an influence on my business and success and whatnot. And it's just it's an awesome kind of area to go. And I want to touch on too like the importance of networking and the importance of actually having people and mentors and things like that that have gone through the same things you have. Because there's 10,000 never-ending challenges in entrepreneurship, and I guarantee someone else has gone through a similar thing, and it's really important to have that sort of connection.
Yeah, and then Sonia, that probably is a big key reason that you're into networking and bringing in mentors and speakers and surrounding yourself and your classmates with good people. And Liam, like that's a really amazing strategy. Is to reach out and get a mentor. And so many, even older entrepreneurs, they're a little bit afraid to ask somebody to mentor them. Yet, most people that you would ask to help you gladly want to help because they feel really kind of honored that somebody like Liam, like yourself or Sonia, feels that what they bring is valuable to their success. So they're usually really open to working with you. Um, Sonia, my next question for you is about being a woman entrepreneur, and I hear through older women, younger women, that sometimes that's a challenging thing, right? So who are your go-to experts, like authors, podcasters, that help you navigate entrepreneurship from a woman's perspective? Are there any sort of go-to authors, speakers, podcasters that you rely on that help you move forward?
I think at one point I was very heavily into podcasts and trying to get people who already have a stage and listening to their advice. But honestly, as of recent, I think being able to talk to people who are already in very real circumstances, women who are in leadership roles at their workplace are the people who really influence me and who I really take advice from. I remember having a coffee chat with a lady who had a leadership role in a sales firm, and talking to her actually showed me the the false image that I guess our society kind of portrays about how women are more included. She really told me that it's not really like that. I remember she mentioned something about dress down days, and she said that I can't dress down because the men won't look at me the same. And I think that stuck with me because it reminded me that it's still there. Luckily, on my end, I haven't had to deal with too much, but I think being reminded that it is a struggle, it is a challenge, definitely keeps me looking for ways to improve it on my end and see how I can kind of build that confidence in other women. And I think girls from high school, from a young age, should have something in them that tells them they can do it. And honestly, another reason why I was so eager to lead the business club in my school was because we have DECA, most schools have DECA, but it was very male led and organized. And
Mhm.
it did feel a little bit intimidating initially coming in as a grade nine. But I really do say that there needs to be a woman that's going to, lead other women. I think we need to take steps to that. And we don't really see it in youth as much as we see it in work. And we see these big companies advertising inclusion and, equality for all. So I will say that as much as I do look to podcasts and read books here and there, it's really the people you meet day to day, maybe the lady who works at your coffee shop or the lady you just happen to hold a conversation with at a networking event. Those are the people who really inspire me.
And what about you? I know, Liam, you've already stated that you're part of this business club as well, but in terms of podcasters or YouTube or books, what's your go-to source for good information to help you scale and grow?
Yeah, I like reading quite a bit. Or I usually listen to like audiobooks, things like that.
Yeah.
I used to be big into like finance things, all those sorts of things. So I'd read on that, but recently I've switched more into like mindset shifting in terms of that for entrepreneurship. Great book is Atomic Habits. I've been reading that, chipping away at it, and it's just oh my gosh, chocked full of great stuff there. And it's yeah, it's a definite must read and whatnot. But yeah, there's like so many resources out there to actually learn and grow in terms of that. And you just really have to look for it. You just have to search for those, and that's been a big one. Also, what's nice about actually networking with people who are in the same shoes that you are, you can ask them direct questions. They have so much knowledge that you never thought they even would, and that's where you can actually ask and gain great knowledge on that. Yeah.
Are you a reader too, Sonia? Do you like reading business books or personal development books? Like, what's your take?
Yeah, for sure. I actually do collect a lot of books when I do go to networking events because it's usually um, an author there or something like that. But I have been reading Atomic Habits as well. That was actually the first book I picked up. Never Split the Difference is really good as well. It
Oh,
goes a little bit negotiation. And there are quite a few books I do read here and there. However, I do want to go more into it this summer.
Good move. You both mentioned Atomic Habits. It's funny, I was looking at it too this week, or over the weekend, and thinking, oh, maybe that's my next book that I'll read, right? And so I went on to, this is a public service announcement. I went on to Indigo to see what, what was up with it, and there's a sale, so you can save some money. I think they've reduced the price a bit. So it's in the 20s as opposed to the 30s. So just FYI. So I want to go back to talking about the summer company program because you were both in the province of Ontario summer company program that you took with the City of Toronto. So how did that program help shape where you're at today? Liam, I'll go to you first and then Sonia.
Yeah, I think it's honestly a great stepping stone. I feel like when you're young and you're in kind of that situation there, there's not much that you've learned yet, not much you've done so far, and it's you're kind of on your own really starting entrepreneurship, and this is a
Yeah,
great way to kind of have like a sort of small community and some mentors and really kind of get some guidance on where you need to go in terms of that and how to actually succeed. I think it's a great program for that, and I think it's a great way to actually take your first step into entrepreneurship, your first step even just in like business overall, and it's I think it's great to actually gain these skills that you do in the program, and a nice little bonus is you make a good chunk of change at the end, as I'm sure Sonia knows as well, you make I think 1,500 at the end, so it's a pretty nice way to actually not only make some money, but gain great skills and values from that too.
yeah. And yeah, you get 1,500 up front and then 1,500 upon successful, I'm using air quotes, successful completion of the program. So you get a grant for $3,000. That doesn't hurt. Sonia, what did you learn last summer from taking summer company program? Like, how did that help you, still have this passion for the work you're doing in your digital marketing agency?
Yeah, I would really say it's a great program if you want to know money management as a young person. I think there's no better way to do it because it's so structured. I feel that when I do talk to my entrepreneurship friends, the first thing they'll advise anyone is have some money aside. Like, don't just throw all your money into something. And this is a great way to be able to focus on what you want to do while not being too stressed out about the money and your startup costs. It's great because from the beginning you're kind of told you have to manage your money well, you have to keep track of your expenses, your costs, and the budgeting is really what makes you feel like an entrepreneur. I feel like that's a stage people don't think about until they're fully immersed into what they're pursuing, but it was a great start for me. I think the training was amazing. I think also being able to sit around peers who are pursuing something on their own and all feel like you're in that same stage is also really comforting. But simultaneously, being able to put work hours aside and just feel that you're in a community where you can go to people for help and just kind of feel like you can run your whatever you're trying to do for just 2 months is honestly great. Like Liam said, the additional chunk of money isn't bad to have. And I do feel the end is really rewarding because you're able to reflect. And it's a great way to spend your summer if you're not doing much. I think that I was still able to have fun here and there, but mostly I was focused on, just leveling up the business.
Yeah. And also with the, it's called Small Business Toronto that offers it, and it's through the City of Toronto. But they have other like business events. I think last October for Small Business Month, they had a conference. I think you all got invitations to attend. So the learning doesn't stop when the program does. The learning actually does continue. If both of you were coaching other young entrepreneurs, what are like three helpful tips they must know before they start? Liam, I'll go with you first, and then Sonia will come back to you. I feel learning to sell is something that you like, and I think that's probably if it was me, I'd say that would be a big tip. But what are three tips that you would, um, impart on a young entrepreneur just starting out?
Yeah, I think one of them is just getting uncomfortable. I've out of the like over 100K I've booked, and like 70K off that is just from door knocking. I've knocked like over 3,000 doors. I've tracked it all. It's pretty crazy. Started in January in the freezing cold, and it's just about getting uncomfortable because when you kind of have that standard for your business, it carries over into everything else. And like in subsequence, like all my admin work gets done on time, my communication with clients gets done on time. It's really about having that standard and pushing yourself to get in those uncomfortable situations. I think it's also like getting those reps in too, right? Like getting those reps and practice your pitch, practice talking to clients, like just practice really having that those skills. I think also a big one is just learn to have great people with you too. For me, with recruiting, I've gone through so many interviews with different workers, different people, and whatnot for my business, and I think by far the most important is just having great people in your business because you yourself could be a rock star, could do everything yourself, but eventually you can't scale past
No.
without having the right people.
Yeah.
And that being said, having the wrong people too actually can have a really big negative impact in
Oh,
your
yeah.
business, and it's super important to dial that in and really spend a ton of time and effort with that.
Yeah. Yeah. All really good tips. There's a book that came out about 5 years ago. Strategic coach owner Dan Sullivan, who's from Toronto, and Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who's based in the States. And they teamed up on a series of books for business. And the first one was Who Not How. And that was all about, like, as entrepreneurs, we wonder, like, how am I going to get this done? Right? And they said, that's the wrong question. It's like, who do I need on my team to help me get this done? Because, Liam, you said the same thing. It's like, I feel like if you're doing everything and you don't have a team to help you, that's a fast track to burnout. You're going to be like miserable in 6 months or a year. So you have to, even though you might not be able to do it at the beginning, you have to have your eyes set on bringing in other people. So good job, man. That's great advice and really good wisdom too. Sonia, what
Thank
about you?
you.
What would you share? Like, do you have three tips, especially with young women who are starting?
Yeah, for sure. I think to start, I would say define your UVP. Really know what you're offering that your competitors won't have. Being a marketing agency, I would say it's very easy to be repetitive and kind of offer the same things that other agencies do. But honestly, my UVP was catering to smaller businesses who maybe can't afford the same level of costs or whatever that these agencies are offering. And at the same time, being able to offer a relationship with your clients is so important. I think it's very easy to have people come to you for work and just do it because you feel like you need clients. But I think more than ever, being able to hold conversations with the people you're working with and being able to be there for a person, even if they don't require your services, but if they require something else, and just being that connecting piece can really mean a lot. So not only know your UVP, but try to find ways to contribute and give back to other people, even if it's not your own service, because you never know when that can take you to other places and honestly build a relationship further. And I think finally, like obviously knowing how to sell, knowing how to communicate, really helps because even if you don't sell to a specific person you're talking to, you may just sell them to their family members, or you may just like kind of win them over in a way that makes them feel like they need to put word out that you're starting a business. And I think that's a great start. And sometimes you feel a little bit knocked down when you don't get your first client or something goes wrong in the process. But more than ever, just word of mouth is really important marketing. So I think knowing how to speak about yourself, even aside from what you're doing in entrepreneurship, just knowing how to talk about yourself, who you are, can connect you with the right people. So network, UVP, and then again knowing how to communicate.
And you both said that communication was really key for both of you. Like Liam, you said, yeah, like I practiced my pitch and what am I going to say to people, and then I like the fact that you also mentioned, stretching yourself. and getting uncomfortable. And Sonia, you too, you got uncomfortable by talking to, business owners and sharing about yourself. So this idea of being uncomfortable is also evident and really important in the growth of your businesses. And, Liam, there's an old sales quote. If you go visiting clients on a rainy day, chances are you'll do better. You'll get sales that other people in sales aren't getting because I don't want to go out in the rain. It's raining. It's bad weather. And I like that you said, yeah, I went out a lot in January and last January, or this past January was like really cold and snowy. So it's like, yeah, I bet probably, clients felt sorry for you a little bit and said, yeah, I better, do business with him. Poor guy, freezing and anyway. So good advice, good wisdom, both of you. Um, in terms of like family support, how has your family helped you, Liam? Like, your mom and
Um,
dad, yeah.
yeah, they just constantly kind of they really kind of support the vision I have, right? They never really kind of they understand what I'm trying to do, right? This is not an easy thing, and they really do support what I'm trying to do, and they help out where they can, right? Like I'm not always home to actually make dinner. Like sometimes I get home at like 10 or 11 p.m. and have dinner ready. Like things like that, little things to help support you along the way. Yeah, it's nice because I got my mom's car that I'm using for work too. I got a nice discount on that. So it's just like a whole bunch of little things that add up, but it's really just about them kind of like still believing in what I'm trying to do and really supporting on my vision for what I want for myself and what I'm trying to do.
And are they business owners too, or are they, so yeah, are they business owners as well, your parents, or no?
Yeah, so my dad's in like business development. He's
Okay.
never owned his business. He's wished he has, but he's never been on like an entrepreneurship side of things. And my mom's a teacher with so it's not I don't have any entrepreneurs in the family that can really give me guidance and they still support me with that. So I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I do too. But your dad being in business development, that's pretty entrepreneurial. Like that's an entrepreneurial position within a company, because you're interfacing with customers and working with them to, and as Sonia alluded to in her answer before, you've got to build trust and relationships, and you've got to be able to present and talk to people about how you can help them. So your dad's got some entrepreneurial skills just with that job posting as well. Um, what about you, Sonia? You have a brother that's been helpful. And I know this because you and I have talked before. But who else in your family has been a positive influence? And what advice have they given you, especially like your brother who helps you?
Yeah, I think more than support, it's honestly just the values they've kind of built in me from a young age. My dad has kind of always told me to um, be what I want to be, but be the best at it and kind of chase that. And so I would say when your parents put confidence in you, it naturally makes you feel confident. Even if you have these doubts and a little bit of uncertainty, you do feel like you're supported. And I think that means the most, especially when you're starting out.
Hmm.
Really young, sometimes you feel like you may not get that support from your friends or you may not get it from your clients fully just because you're so new. But your parents really understand who you are. And when they trust you, you feel like you're supported and it goes so far. I think just being told from a young age that whatever you want to be the best at it has made me feel like you just have to keep pushing and keep trying. And I think that it's never too late to venture out into something new because it's always worth the risk. Either you learn and you lose, or you succeed and you still learn, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love that, and it's really important to kind of like yeah keep pushing, but also know maybe when you might have to shift things up. Like how do you both deal with change, Liam? Like how do you deal with change in your business and say okay, what I first thought was great, but now I'm thinking this. Like how do you deal with that? kind of change in your business?
Yeah, like I think it's more so kind of having the mindset that like there's a thousand options out there where you can do in your business. You can make so many different decisions. And
Hmm.
I think it's as a business owner, you got to be willing to like adapt, like shift and change and pivot what you're thinking. And I see this every single day, even today, like different job sites going on. We were going to do one thing, now we have to do another. Like it's just a constant flow of it. And what you really want to do is just have like good systems in place and know how to deal with this change. And really kind of have like processes that you can rely on. So like when change happens, what can you do to actually make it work, right? Because you're not going to be in business without facing change and different things happening. And it's super important to actually be able to constantly adapt and keep moving forward.
And Sonia, what about you? How do you deal with change, and saying, you know what, I tried this, but maybe I got to try this instead.
Yeah, I think for a little while, like I just had so many ideas in my head that I wanted to do everything at once. And obviously, though there's passion in everything, you have to kind of pick what you want to focus on and maybe work on something else as a side project. So for me, dealing with change has kind of been something I'm still working on. But I do think that, let's say you lose a client or, a relationship breaks or you're waiting on something and maybe that deal doesn't happen. I think the best thing is to always have a backup plan. And I think by that, I mean not even knowing what the steps you're going to take next are, because sometimes you really don't know. But I think just being able to have something structured for yourself always works in the case that, plan A doesn't work out to your fullest. And also being able to trust yourself more than anything else is the most important, because if you don't have trust in yourself, you're not going to be able to put trust in your clients or put trust in your own work. And honestly, that may come off in how confident you are when talking to a potential client or a lead. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and trusting yourself that you'll be able to deal with things, good or bad, So, yeah, great, great stuff. You're listening to the Big Venture Zone, the success show for Gen Z entrepreneurs and founders. I'm your host, David Cohen, and we're with young entrepreneurs Liam Kolbuc. Can you just pronounce your last name for me? Kolbuc, right?
Full buck.
Yeah, okay. Ah, what the hell? I think I need another coffee here this morning. And we're also with Sonia Ray, and we're talking about lessons learned from young entrepreneur startups. Um, the other thing I want to ask you, a couple of questions left. Um, how do you deal with friends who are a bit like negative? They're naysayers. Oh, Liam, you're working all the time. Or Sonia, like, we don't see you anymore. You're busy working with clients. You should take time off. You're young. Like I'm just giving you like little scenarios. How do you deal with the negative forces that come at you, especially from your social circles? Who wants to take
Yeah.
that first?
Yeah, I'll take it first.
Okay.
I'll be frank with you. Pretty much every single one of my friends thinks what I'm doing is kind of ridiculous. They don't. They kind of make fun of what I'm really doing, just because how much I'm working. Like I'm working like 70 to 80 hours a week, and and I gotta miss out. And sometimes with friends, I gotta miss out on things on family, and it's just like it's a lot of work and a lot of effort that I'm putting in. And to be honest with you, I think to be an entrepreneur, you gotta be a little bit crazy. You gotta be a little bit. You kind of got to be different from everyone else, and
Yeah.
like like you got to kind of do that. It's to be successful in entrepreneurship, there's sacrifices you have to make. It's about like how willing are you to actually see that success in your business, that you're able to make those sacrifices now to actually get yourself a better future. And that's kind of like the mindset I've been having, because I also keep thinking, yeah, like time's gonna pass anyways. I might as well work my best and do the best I can to make it work. And my friends don't see it the same way, and that's okay. That's okay because they don't have to, and you just got to kind of put your best foot forward and really push yourself.
Yeah, yeah, you're 100% right, and because everybody's different, we're all wired different. Some people want to go work and get a job and have that sort of sense of security where others are like you know, you think differently or you're not, you know, of the same mold and you want to build something. So that's exciting. Sonia, what about you? How do you sort of, you know, tell certain friends, hey, park it, because I'm really excited about what I'm doing?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I honestly haven't had to deal with negativity from friends much because the biggest skill I taught myself early on was isolation and being able to stay in my own bubble despite whatever's going on around me. And I think that really benefited me, especially when I was starting off, because no one really knew. I honestly wanted to keep it to myself while I was working on it. And eventually, I guess people found out, and when you go back to school, everyone's like, "Oh, what'd you do last summer?" And you're like, "Oh, I started a business." And it's a good conversation. But I think I liked keeping it so much to myself that it really benefited me when it came to being able to focus in when I had to, and not really worrying about outside comments. I think that friends are great to have when you need support, or even if they need to tell you, "Hey, I think you should do this better." But I think being able to focus in on yourself and push yourself really teaches you that no one else really matters unless it's a connection that is going to build you and build your business. I think through starting a business, I also learned how to filter out people, and figure out the right community for me. And it gave me a lot more trust in myself.
Love that answer. It's really well said. You know, the other couple more questions. We're officially in a recession in Canada. How has the economic situation affected you both negatively and maybe positively? Sonia, do you want to chime in on that? And then yeah.
Yeah, of course. I think it's really impacted me when I'm working with smaller businesses. I've got a lot of people who initially are like, "Yeah, I love to do this." And then with the recession, obviously, it's very understandable that people have a fear of putting money into marketing. I think I completely understand that, and I do my best to work around it. However, with how it is right now, you require a lot of trust in relationships. And that's why I say it so much, because it does impact people's ability to put money aside for things like marketing. But what I'm here for is to tell people how important it is, because it can really build or break your business. And I do see that with marketing currently, a lot of smaller businesses just aren't able to put that money aside. And if they can, they really want to put it into the hands of someone who they feel has had that success before in other businesses. And so it is definitely harder, but I do think that if a business really wants to thrive, they'll find a way to do it. And I guess it's harder on the smaller companies than it is these big agencies or big ventures.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I feel you're right. Just because being small, you haven't you know, sprouted all the roots that the bigger companies have. Liam, what would you like the government or banks to do to make being an entrepreneur easier? Like, do any ideas come to mind? Or are you just sort of
Look,
more wrapped up in doing your own thing, which is fine.
there's There's one big one, and it's taxes, and I'm not sure we're getting any breaks on those. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, like I pay a ton of money in taxes and whatnot, and it's even for clients as well. They're surprised because my average job size is about 3.9K, and for each family member, that's a big number, right? And that's pre-tax, and tax just adds on so much extra. Yeah, I think that's a big one there, but. I want to credit just actually being able to sell and gain those skills and really is just an objection those clients are posing to you. You just have to learn your or get good enough sales skills to actually overcome that objection. But it is still an objection that you don't have to face because of that. And I feel also just because it kind of reduces the amount people are willing to spend because they're spending tax dollars on getting this done. And it's just it's the exact opposite of an incentive for them to support young entrepreneurs, young students, things like that. So I think that's a big one there. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And you know, like maybe give a little bit of tax breaks to younger entrepreneurs like yourselves and you know, so you can get that head start. The other thing, and you probably both agree, I find a bit alarming is when you buy something from somebody in the US, it might be a training course that you want to take, or their book or a product or whatever, and then, what is it, like 30%, 35% more because of the US and Canadian dollar. So that's also, I find that's like a bit of a killer as well. Um, the Sonia, last questions for both of you. What's one thing that has helped you both be success stories so far? So Sonia, I'll ask you, and then Liam. Like, what's the one thing that you are so proud of that's helped you be successful? I think.
I honestly want to say a lot of other things, but I will go back to the word communication. I think it has not only strengthened through business, but I think it has helped me reach out to people who I never initially thought I would be able to speak to. And sit across from at a coffee store and have such good conversations with. I think it has really taught me how to network with people, and the ability to carry yourself, even if you've got a lot of stressors going on, or everything's good, just being able to keep that straight face and have connections with people has been something that's really allowed me to find more clients. And not only that, but just meet people who are in the same community as me, and build something together that's actually meaningful.
And Liam, what about for you? Like, what's that one sort of thing that's helped you be so successful? Because you've really moved a lot of ground in your business.
For me, it's been grit, and that's the number one thing. I think also a lot of times, like to touch on what you guys are talking about, but like being in a recession and whatnot. I think some people are like that, where they're kind of the chicken little, the sky's falling, everything's like going wrong, and what it means to me to have grit is literally taking the blame for everything. If my business is not succeeding, it's not because of the economy, it's because I'm doing something that I'm doing something wrong, and it's also more so like there's gonna be tough times in business. There's gonna be challenges you're gonna face every single day, whether you like it or not. Even this morning, I got a call and just a whole mess at a job site, and it just happens, and you just gotta have the grit to say, okay, this is what happened. What am I gonna do to fix it? And then keep moving forward. Because I feel like some people would see a challenge and they think, okay, well, it's just too hard. I'm just gonna give up. Having the grit to really just kind of push past that and actually sort of just push yourself is really gonna kind of drive you forward.
And there's I like Tony Robbins, and I was on a class that he was involved with a few weeks ago, and he in his talks or his work, he says that in the Great Depression in 1929 or six or whatever, he said there were more millionaires that came out of that than ever before, and it makes sense because how do you make money? You make money by solving problems. The bigger the problem, the more money you can charge, right? If you can solve a big problem, you'll get paid well for it. And then the other thing to remind yourself is every day there's trillions of dollars being spent and traded around the world. So if you just had 0.5% of that, you'd be quite happy, right? Um, all right, last question. As we look forward, where do you see yourselves in business and life in 3 years? Sonia.
Well, I'm pursuing undergrad and I'll be starting that in September. So I think at that point I want to have a better vision for my life. I think currently I'm still figuring things out. I definitely am interested in the sales side of business. So I do see myself finding more connects to teach me about that and immersing myself into that side of business. Simultaneously, I see myself maybe either expanding this venture or finding a new one, but either way, building myself so that I can, stand on my own, even if another recession hits us harder, you know what I mean? And so um, I definitely want to see myself more educated as well, and just able to hold conversations with all sorts of people, not just people who are business enthusiasts, but um, honestly be able to stand on my own and help the people around me.
I love that. And Liam, what about you? What do you see for yourself in the next 3 years?
Yeah, so right now the plan is still to own my business. I'm probably looking anywhere around like 400K around then in
Wow.
revenue, which is pretty exciting. I will say like it is pretty exciting to kind of think about those numbers. Um, yeah, it's more so just like kind of growing overall. Like the only reason I'm in business now is not for the money. It's honestly just to grow and develop as much as I can because I'm young, I'm 18, I'm trying to actually build something for my future. And I think this is a great way to do it. So whether I'm still in business or not, it's just a matter of like me being the person I want to be, me actually growing as much as I want and actually taking the most away from what I'm getting out of what I'm doing.
Beautiful interview with both of you today. Sonia, Liam, thank you so much for this. Where do we reach you to work with you? So Liam, like where do we reach you to work with you?
Where do you reach me?
Yeah.
Here, do you want like my number or something or?
Maybe more like online.
Okay, yeah, we have an Instagram and Facebook page. It's under North York Student Painters. Feel free to reach us there. You can see a ton of our past work, a whole bunch of posts on that as well. You can also meet our team. I think we have a few snapshots of a few guys on our team there as well.
So North York Student Painters on Instagram and
Facebook.
Facebook. Okay, awesome. And Sonia, where do we reach you to work, work with you or connect?
I did have a website up, but I'm currently revamping it. So I would say for email, you can find me at Sonia Rai at srdigitalmarketing.agency. And for Instagram, for casual DMs or just basic inquiries, you can find me at srdigital_marketing.
Good stuff. I like the fact that you're using social media as part of your game plan. Really important. It's a great tool. And actually, from a search engine optimization point of view, and Sonia, you probably agree, having that social media presence is the thing that people will find first, as opposed to your website. So, yeah. You know what I find funny? Because I've worked with other designers, Sonia, like other, like web designers and graphic people, and they're usually like the worst at having their own website or doing graphics because they're so, what's the word? They're hard on themselves. And so I always say, why don't you just hire somebody and go do your work, So anyway, food for thought for both of you. This has been great having both of you with us today. That was Liam Kolbuc and Sonia Ray. They joined us from their home offices today to be with us. Next week on Your Big Venture, we're talking with Rob Anderson for a casual chat about life, spirituality, ideas, and trends. He's a master at what's going on and he's got his finger on the pulse of a lot of things. So in the meantime, have a really good week. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to the Big Venture Zone. Remember when you see us on YouTube to share, comment, like, and in the meantime, just do well this week.